Dale, your librarian here. So if we're looking for undocumented immigrants or immigration and statistics and things like that, a search like this in the catalog or any of the databases would get you quite a lot of good data. And so you might have a lot of books, articles. Generally, if you're looking in the catalog, you can use keywords like this to find peer-reviewed articles. But where are they getting the data from? So we've got all these articles that are from peer-reviewed scholarly journals, but they're trying to, they need a data point, the number of people who are undocumented immigrants or undocumented immigration. How do we find those things? The government, with the Office of Homeland Security Statistics, does have some data sets, but there's a lot of variables because you could have, if you are undocumented, if somebody comes up and asks you, are you a documented immigrant or undocumented, et cetera, there's likely to be a political ramification from whatever you say. So there's kind of like that bias thrown in there. So beware. So this one is good. You can just Google this title. The Pew Research Center is really good. There's probably something more recent than 2018. But ultimately, they're all going to be pointing to different data sets. So look for those and see if you can find those in the catalog or in just out on the open web like this Office of Homeland Security. I'd like to show you the census, though. So the United States Census has been going on for 100 years, 200 years, 250 years. Depends on what questions you want to be asked. But there's a graphical interface for it in a database that we've got. Let me show that to you. It's under the letter S, and the database is called Social Explorer. There it is. If you're authenticated through CIS or email or any of those things where you had to do the duo authentication, you should be good to go. But if you get to this point and you're rejected, try authenticating and then going back in through the databases, because this is something that only students, staff, and faculty have access to. Go to Explore. By default, it puts you in the most current survey. So this is the American Community Survey of 2023, 5-year estimates of population. And if you mouse over, you can see the population density of every state according to that forecast. Isn't that cool? You can also go back, way back many years and look at those same questions. Some of them are different over the years, though, and oftentimes they'll change them because of a whole bunch of different things going on. Data validity is a big one. But in this one, if we're looking for undocumented immigrants, the best one to go to is go to native and foreign born. And I had to write this recipe down. And somewhere in here, oh, here we go. So there's one where it's not a citizen. This doesn't say you are holding a visa or you're not holding a visa. It's just a question. It's a yes, no. Are you a citizen? And you can see those same questions in other surveys as you go. And you can also break it down by ancestry and things like that. So from this, let's see, this is the ACS 2023. You can see those states that are really involved in the politicization of immigration show up. So we have California, 12% have a not a citizen as an answer, 10% in Texas. But surprisingly, in some of the other states where they really talked about it a lot, I remember it showing up in North Dakota, it's only 2%. Why is that? This is where you get into the scholarly articles. And I have evidence to suggest that this is because of the agriculture industry, but it's a very population sparse place. And so migrant farmers has always been part of it. My grandfather was a migrant farmer. He was what did they call it? He would take his combine down to Kansas and he would ride the harvest all the way up doing custom combining. So immigrant or itinerant workers is part of the deal. So there's like all these things tangled in. So when you go to the databases that I show you in the class, make sure that you consider the data as maybe a point that helps inform, but we're looking for more than that in our studies that combine it into that scholarly goodness that we have.